Welcome to the foundation, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Look at all these, man. I'm really impressed with the following that has grown organically over the years for the foundation. I really want to thank y'all. I really do. But let's get to this. The validity of the trust entity is not to be questioned, hands down. The reason why we're doing this show is because, we deal with a lot of public situations, public interactions, so on and so forth. And, just because you don't know something exists doesn't mean it does not. And just because the people and the professionals that you deal with and interact with don't know that something exists doesn't mean that it does not. You're going to deal, as you become more and more prolific with the administration of your private estate, you're going to deal with a lot of people in public positions, whether it's a CPA, an attorney, asset manager, whatever it is. You're going to get your fair share of dealing with people in the public. And I want to remind you, the validity of the trust entity is not to be questioned. Please understand that. If someone is questioning the validity of your trust entity, if you can't stand on that validity, that's a problem. So I want to start this off by saying, if you don't know how to stand on the trust entity, if you don't know how to stand on the validity of the trust entity, if you don't know how to make specific claims of protection, of contract protections, when it comes to the trust entity, then you don't have those claims and they will not be granted. It is up to us to understand what is and what is not, and not listen to gurus, and to verify, trust but verify, very important. So when it comes to international, you hear a lot about the Hague Convention. The Hague Convention is recognized under the Hague Convention. Let's get serious. I have a copy of the Hague Convention in front of me. Now, if you talk about the Hague Convention, there's many different Hague Conventions. There's not just one Hague Convention. Most people don't know that, don't speak on that, but I'm going to speak on that. There's more than one Hague Convention. So we're talking about 30. When we're talking about this Hague Convention. This is the specific Hague Convention that we're talking about when it deals with trust. And it's specifically called 30 dot or 30 period. But really what it's called is Convention on the Law Applicable to Trusts and on their recognition. I'm going to repeat it. Convention on the Law Applicable to Trusts and on their recognition. It was concluded in July 1st, 1985. And it goes on to say, and I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm going to read some of it. It goes on to say, the state signatory to the present convention, considering that the trust as developed in courts of equity in common law jurisdictions and adopted with the modifications in other jurisdictions, is a unique legal institution. Man, I'm dropping bombs. Look. Desiring to establish common provisions on the law applicable to trust and to deal with the most important issues concerning the recognition of trust, have resolved to conclude a convention to this effect and have agreed upon the following provisions. The validity of the trust entity is not to be questioned in any jurisdiction that is a party to the Hague Convention. Any state, the Department of State with regards to the United States, the convention specifies the law applicable to trust and governs the recognition. For the purposes of this convention, the term trust refers to the legal relationships created inter vivos, during life, or after or on death, by person, the settlor, when assets have been placed under the control of a trustee for the benefit of beneficiary or for a specified purpose. Not all trusts are set up specifically for the benefit of the beneficiaries. Some trusts are set up for a specified purpose. A trust has the following characteristics. The assets constitute a separate fund and are not a part of the trustee's own estate. That's A. B. Title to the trust asset stands in the name of the trustee or in the name of another person on behalf of the trustee. And C. The trustee has the power and the duty in respect of which he is accountable to manage, employ, or dispose of the assets in accordance with the terms of the trust and the special duties imposed upon him by law. The reservation by the settlor of certain rights and powers and the fact that the trustee may himself have rights as a beneficiary are not necessarily inconsistent with the existence of a trust. Of course not, because, if any powers reserved by the grantor or the settlor means that it's a revocable trust, and it will be treated as a grantor trust in regards to the Internal Revenue Service. The convention applies only to trusts created voluntarily and evidenced in writing. The convention does not apply to preliminary issues relating to the validity of wills or of other acts by virtue of which assets are transferred to the trustee. Oh man, okay, I'm going to get Article 5. The convention does not apply to the extent that the law specified by Chapter 2 does not provide for the trust or the category of trust involved. Applicable law, this is Chapter 2. Article 6. A trust shall be governed by the law chosen by the settlor. The choice must be expressed or implied in the terms of the instrument creating or the writing evidencing the trust, interpreted if necessary in the light of the circumstances of the case. Where the law chosen under the previous paragraph does not provide for trusts or the category of trust involved, the choice shall not be effective, and the law specified in Article 7 shall apply. Article 7, where no applicable law has been chosen, a trust shall be governed by the law with which it is most closely connected. Where is it at? Where's the domicile? Where's it doing business? Where the account's set up? Where's the property physically located, if any, that is titled to the trust? In ascertaining the law with which a trust is most closely connected, reference shall be made in particular to the place of administration of the trust designated by the settlor. A. B. The situs of the assets of the trust. C. Place of residence or business of the trustee. D. The objects of the trust and the places where they are to be fulfilled. The law specified in Article 6 or 7. Article 6 is the law specified by the grantor or settlor. Article 7 is the law specified in regards to the law which is most closely connected, if not specified by the grantor or settlor. So, Article 8, the law specified by Article 6 or 7 shall govern the validity of trust, its construction, its effects, and the administration of the trust. In particular, that law shall govern the appointment, resignation, and removal of trustees, the capacity to act as trustee, and the devolution of the office of trustee. B, the rights and duties of trustees among themselves. C, the right of trustees to delegate in whole or in part the discharge of their duties or the exercise of their powers. D, the power of trustee to administer or dispose of trust assets, to create security interests in the trust assets or to acquire new assets. E, the powers of investment of trustees. F, restrictions upon the duration of the trust and upon the power to accumulate the income of the trust. G, the relationships between the trustees and the beneficiaries, including the personal liability of the trustees and the beneficiaries. This is all governed by the trust or the local law. H, the variation of termination of the trust. I, the distribution of trust assets. And J, the duty of trustees to account for their administration. I'm going to stop there. Y'all can check this out. And there's let me just scan this real quick. Let's go to Article 11. A trust created in accordance with the law specified by the preceding chapter shall be recognized as a trust. Such recognition shall imply as a minimum that the trust property constitutes a separate fund, that the trustee may sue and be sued in his capacity as trustee, and that he may appear or act in this capacity before a notary or any person acting in an official capacity, insofar as the law applicable to trust requires or provides such recognition shall imply, in particular, that personal creditors of the trustees shall have no recourse against the trust assets. B, that the trust assets shall not form part of the trustee's estate upon his insolvency or bankruptcy. And these are protections. C, that the trust assets shall not form part of the matrimonial property of the trustee or his spouse, nor part of the trustee's estate upon his death. And D, that the trust assets may be recovered when the trustee, in breach of trust, has mingled trust assets with his own property or has alienated trust assets. However, the rights and obligations of any third-party holder of the assets shall remain subject to the law determined by the choice of law rules of the forum. No state shall be bound to recognize a trust act, the significant elements of which, except for the choice of the applicable law, the place of administration, and the habitual residence of the trustee are more closely connected with states which do not have the institution of the trust or the category of trust involved. This convention shall not prevent the application of rules of law more favorable to the recognition of trusts. So the Hague Convention, there are over 120 countries that are part of the Hague Convention currently. Over 120. The United States is one of them. The validity of the trust entity is not to be questioned. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you're not well enough educated to stand on these principles. That's what we've been doing the show. Now you know. Look up the Hague Convention. Convention on the law applicable, trusts, and their recognition. Hands down. Let's not even talk about it. Moving forward, that was the Hague Convention. And if you look at it, it's the Hague Conference on Private International Law. I hope y'all are picking up what I'm putting down this evening, y'all. I really, really, really do. Really do. Moving forward. Y'all, I hope y'all got your pen and paper ready. I'm going to go as slow as I can. In the case of Baker v. Stern, 5-8 AIR 462. The court said that it is established by legal precedent that pure trusts are lawful, valid business organizations. In the case of Burnett versus Smith, SW, Southwest Florida 1007, the court ruled that trust or trust estate is a legal entity for most all purposes as are common law trusts. In Edwards versus the Commissioner, the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service, 415 F2D 578, 582, 10th Circuit. The court said dignity of contract cannot be set aside because a tax benefit results either by design or accident, by design or accident. Weeks versus Sibley, DC 269F,135. A pure trust is not illegal if formed for the express purpose of avoiding taxation. A pure trust is not illegal if formed for the express purpose of avoiding taxation. Smith versus Morse. Morse, M-O-R-S-E, like Morse code. 2EA524. A pure trust is established by contract and any law or procedure in its operation, denying or obstructing contract rights, impairs contract obligation, and is therefore violative of the United States Constitution. A pure trust is established by contract and in any law or procedure in the operation of the law or procedure, denying or obstructing contract rights, impairs contract obligation, and is therefore violative of the United States Constitution. I want to ask you a question. We got a Social Security numbers, we got birth certificates, driver's licenses and stuff. I mean, a 14th Amendment citizen allegedly cannot access contractual or constitutional rights, but a trust entity can, and a trustee acting on behalf of the trust in the fiduciary capacity can represent the constitutional entity. The validity of the contract is not to be questioned. Boyd, B-O-Y-D, versus U.S. 116, U.S. 618. The trustees of a trust have all the power necessary to carry out their obligations, which they assume, and their books and records are not subject to review or subpoena. In Silverthorne, Thorne, Lumber Company versus U.S. 1251, U.S. 385. Same thing. In Crocker versus McCloy, M-A-C-C-L-O-Y, 649 U.S. S-U-P 39 Act 270. A trust organization consisting of a U.S. constitutional right of contract cannot be abridged. The agreement, when executed, becomes a constitutionally protected organization and not under the laws passed by any of the several legislatures. I'm going to read that one more time. A trust organization consisting of a U.S. constitutional right of contract cannot be abridged. The agreement, when executed, becomes a constitutionally protected organization and not under the laws passed by any of the several legislatures. In Elliott versus Freeman, 220 U.S. 178, a pure trust is not subject to legislative control. The United States Supreme Court holds that trust relationship comes under the realm of equity based upon the common law and is not subject to legislative restrictions, as are corporations and other organizations by legislation authorized by legislative authority. Got a birth certificate with a state seal on it? That's a state authority. In Shaw versus Plain, P-L-I-N-E, 12, Allen, this is Massachusetts, M-A-S-S, 293. Also in Harwood versus Tracy, 118, M-O, 31, period, 24, space, S-W, 214. The creditor of a pure trust may mold and give it any shape he chooses, and he or the trustees upon such terms as they may choose to impose. Includes CLEWS v. Jameson 182 space US space 461.21 S period space CT 845 Connecticut. The court will support the trustees in carrying out the terms of their trust contract and agreement. Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution states, quote, in parts. This isn't the full text. This is just removing the text which is relevant to trusts. No state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. Accordingly, since the trust indenture is a contract between the grantor and the exchanger or trustees and beneficiaries, this indenture controls the trust, and no one has the legal authority to violate its provisions. Also, no one can change the trust indenture except those who are authorized by the indenture. A trust is not an abusive trust because the courts have said that it is a perfectly legal and constitutional entity. The courts take a dim view of anyone or any bureaucracy that violates a trust's constitutional and or civil rights, no matter under what guise, including the attempt to abrogate its rights by passing and then attempting to enforce rules, statutes, or so-called laws that violate the Constitution. In Simon versus the U.S., 390,389, period 1968, 1968, we find it intolerable that one constitutional right should have to be surrendered in order to assert another. Miller versus U.S. 230 F2D space 486 at 489. The claim and exercise of a constitutional right cannot be converted into a crime. In the case of Miranda versus Arizona 380 U.S. 436, the court said where fundamental rights under the Constitution are involved, there can be no rule making or legislation which can abrogate them. Mayo versus Mortitz. What a weird name. Titz with a Z, MORTITZ, 24N period, E period, Northeastern Report, 1083. Trust property cannot be held under attachment, nor sold upon execution for the trustee's personal debt. Do I want to keep going? I'm sure y'all maybe want me to keep going. Allmayer, ALMIER versus the Commissioner, 6 CIR period, comma, 1940, comma, 116 F2D 162. It has been said that because of family solidarity, a wife's interest in income is not truly adverse to her husband's. This is important. Brigham, BRGHAM versus US, DC MASS 1941. There was an appeal, but it was dismissed. A trust is a separate and distinct entity from its beneficiaries for income tax purposes. Trusts are taxable entities which compute their deductions basically as individuals. The purpose the settler had in establishing the trust is irrelevant on the question of whether income from a trust is taxable to the settler. That's based on whether it's irrevocable or not. I don't want to get too heavy in this stuff, What I do want to say is what I've been saying this whole show. The validity of the trust entity is not to be questioned. I know a lot of us are new to this. I know that we've learned how to do business in a certain way, and it's stuck. I know that, a lot of people say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I think that's mind games, man. I think anyone who's trying or attempting to create boundaries and limitations in your mind should be watched very carefully. You're going to come into some pushback, especially when you're dealing with the public. It's natural. This stuff is not easy. This is a big business. It's a large responsibility to take on to become a trustee. The equivalent of a trustee in the public is a board of trustees or a board of directors on a large corporation. Contract protects you. Very similar to the public. This is where the public gets it. Anytime a judge or whatever acts outside the ambit of the delegated authority, there is a personal liability that they step into. Same thing with a trustee. Anytime you act outside the delegation of your authority given to you by the contract itself, you become personally liable. You need to understand where the powers of this contract indenture stem from. You need to have points of authority. You need to understand and be able to pull out the Hague Convention, be able to pull out all the signatories to the Hague Convention and show when the United States came on. You need to pull out portions of the trust indenture, which give you your powers as trustee. It's up to you as the Board of Trustees of the trust to decide what information will and will not be disclosed with regards to the trust. 100% up to the Board of Trustees. Yes, you're under non-disclosure, but how you interpret and apply that non-disclosure is up to the Board of Trustees. What you may disclose for your trust, maybe I won't disclose. What I may disclose for my estate, maybe you won't disclose. It's different. But there's study that is required. You can't get out here and just be like, oh, yeah, I got my 9A number and I got my trust and open the account and expect these fools to jump. Just because you kind of know what you sound like you know what you're talking about. A lot of times what you're asking these people to do, they've never done before. When it comes to taxation, even if you get an accountant or an enrolled agent or whatever, a lot of times you're going to have to teach these people. And then you're going to have to say, oh, well, I charge $100 or $250 an hour. You're going to have to come back at them and be like, well, it seems as though that you are not too very well versed in this specific type of entity and that you will be learning as you go. I appreciate your willingness to take on this responsibility and contract with me as trustee on behalf of this estate. But being that you are going to be learning as you go, and you and I are both going to be learning as we go, I humbly request that you have your fee, that it may be more of an equitable relationship, and essentially I'm not breaching my fiduciary capacity and essentially paying an outside individual who has no dealings with the trust to learn. That's not my job. That's not the provisions of the trust indenture. So if you're not very familiar, I'm very happy that you're excited and you want to learn and you really want to help. But I can't honestly and with clean hands go back to the board and say, hey, he's willing to learn, but we got to pay him $250 an hour to learn. So are you open to that or no? If they are, cool. If they're not, move around. Essentially, and ideally, we're going to be dealing, or the estate, at least, is going to be dealing with this person, this firm, this accountant, or whatever, for a very protracted or long period of time. Essentially, we're going to only have to do this once. So it's in our best interest to find those who are familiar in the public with these type of entity, or at least are willing to learn. No one is going to be willing to learn from you when you walk in there talking that weirdness. Oh yeah, it's contract, I can't disclose. It's a Massachusetts trust, it's a foreign trust, and blah blah. Man, look, man, you're tripping. You need to apply the principles specifically to each transaction, which is what they really are, or situation. I want to speak a little loosely. And only say what needs to be said. You're in a professional setting dealing with professionals. And they don't know what a Massachusetts trust is. They don't know exactly what you mean by private either. Basically, what you need to go in there and say is like, yo, I got a trust. I administer a trust, and I've been tasked by the Board of Trustees to come in here and do such and such. How do I do this? How do we set up this account for a trust? What do you need in regards to, the proof, that you require that the trust exists? Sometimes you'll need, we need a certificate of trustee certifying that you're a trustee of the trust. Fine. I'll certify that. I ain't got no problem with that. Oh, I'm not signing a certificate. That's private. Blah, blah, blah. I'll slow down. Just ask them, yo, what am I signing? Well, it's a certificate of trustee. Well, what does that actually entail? Like, what am I certifying? In layman's terms, I'm kind of new to this. I don't know too much. They'll tell you. Oh, you're certifying that you're the actual trustee for this trust. Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. You mind if I take a look at that and look it over? I got to be careful what I do, I don't want to get fired. Oh, yeah, no problem. Did you walk in there? Oh, yeah, and they're like, what type of trust is it? It's a private trust. What kind of trust is it? It's, a business trust. And by the way, you shouldn't be walking anywhere talking about business trust, especially in the bank. You shouldn't be walking in there talking about, I would like to open an account for a business trust. I wouldn't do it. Now, I don't give legal advice, and I'm not a tax attorney, I'm not an attorney. But I wouldn't do it. Why? Because they're going to think business trust, they're going to think business accounts, so they're going to be looking for business documents. You just confuse them. They don't know what you know. Ideally, you're supposed to have studied this stuff and then studied the interaction that you're about to have with the public. Maybe have a meeting of the Board of Trustees meeting. Sit down and talk about it. Like, what are the potential pitfalls and potential setbacks that we may encounter in this specific endeavor? The bottom line is your job is to execute. As a trustee, you execute. You execute the indenture. I don't care what you're talking about. If you had a bad day, if you stubbed your toe, if your daughter's sick, I'm here to get something done on behalf of the trust, on behalf of the estate. Not here to argue with you. Not here to get emotional. Not here to, have a chest beating contest. Not here to insult your intelligence. I'm not here to tell you how to do your job. But the validity of the trust entity is not to be questioned. If you're dealing with a financial institution and they say, we would like to make a copy of this and send it to legal, hopefully you have a specific form or you've only given them what is absolutely necessary to open your bank account. If they say they want to make a copy of it and send it to legal, that's what you want. They just admitted that they don't know what's going on. Be humble. Be nice. Yes, that's no problem. Can you give me a call tomorrow or whatever? They might not call you. They're busy. They have a job to do every day. Be nice. Go call them. Walk into the store. Into the branch. Look, when you're dealing with banks, the more you show up, the more legit you are. You've seen it. You don't seem like a scammer or something. There's all types of scams going on here. Everybody thinks they're smart. You walk in here with some paperwork and a notary stamp and a 98 number and all this. Hey, man, what hey? People are stealing corporations and committing fraud, and there's all types of stuff going on. Nothing personal. They just want to keep their job. So if they ever say, hey, I didn't talk to someone, let them go talk to somebody. We got to run this by legal. That means there's no one in that branch that knows what they're doing. And they're deferring to the lawyers because they don't want to be liable. Do it. Let them talk to you. Hey, man, just give me a call. Come back in. Figure it out. This needs to be registered with the state. Actually, according to the Hague Convention, I actually have a copy here if you'd like to see. that's not necessary. And it even says in the Hague Convention here that it doesn't come under legislation. They got to bring out Supreme Court citations. It sounded weird. Bring out the Hague Convention and then show that the United States is a party to the Hague Convention. And I'm just going by this. This is actually law. This is private international law that's recognized by the United States. You see the United States as a party to this. So, I mean, I'm just a little confused. Maybe we're going at this a little wrong. But I do know that this is, a valid entity and recognized in the United States, and, there's accounts that are open for them. Same thing with the accountant. If they're interested and they don't know, and they're interested, that's better than someone who does know who's not really interested. And they feel like they know everything. So they're going to fight with you. Only check complex. Oh, I'm going to check this, but this and this. And I've been doing it for so many years and blah, blah, blah. Like, pick your battles. You tell them, hey, I want you to file like this. I want you to do this. Okay, so from what I understand, I've never done that. And, man, send us some documents. Send them some citations of authority. But you got to know the trust indenture. You got to know the citations, and you have to be able to stand on this knowledge. On this knowledge that verifies the validity of the trust entity is not to be questioned. A lot of times you teach these people in the public, and you're going to develop a quasi-public/private relationship with them because they're learning from you. You taught them something they didn't even learn at school. Why did I learn this at school? I mean, I didn't even know you can do this, but apparently I went and asked my supervisor, and they told me to pull up this document, and this internal document teaches me and tells me how to open up this type of account. Oh, I'm sorry for making our job hard. I didn't want you to make you open up an account that you're not very familiar. No. I'm learning something new. Thank you. If it wasn't for you coming in here with this, I wouldn't have learned anything. You can only do this when you fully understand and can stand on the authorities, the documents, the treaties, the citations of the validity of the trust entity. Is not to be questioned. I want to put that in your head so heavy this episode. The validity of the trust entity is not to be questioned. And if you're questioning it, you need to go study some more. You're going to go to the law library. You're going to see some stuff. A trust can't do this. A trust has to do this. Okay, so what? That's contrary to what I understand. What type of trust is being discussed right now? Oh, that's a public trust that owes its existence to legislation. That's why, there's a conflict. I understand this. You got to understand the distinction between public and private. You got to understand the Hague Convention is private international law. All these things are important. The more confident you are and the more well-versed you are in specific jargon, terms, and authorities regarding your trust indenture that you are administering, the better reception you're going to get from the public. The better results you're going to get from your interactions with the public on behalf of the private contractual entity. I deal with a lot of trustees. I hear a lot of trustees that say they get to a point, they're excited at first when they get into trustee training, and it gets to the point where they just feel like it's too much, and they just want to just stop and go back to doing what they were doing. Good. That means you're being tested. If you don't like it, go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. You think freedom is easy? No, it's not. You think you can just kick back and expect someone else or some other body to protect your freedoms and your rights? No. That is a ridiculous presumption and expectation. This is a whole different language. You're about to learn a whole different language. It's called legalese. It's the language of the lawyers and the judges and the attorneys. All contracts are written in legalese. From the warranty contract you get with your iPhone or your Android phone or whatever phone, to the receipt that you receive that explains the terms and conditions of the 30-day return policy. Every time you swipe your card and they say, sign here, please, you're executing the contract. The sales contract, but you're still executing the contract. All contracts are written in legalese. The only ones that are not, those are private contracts, and most private contracts are written in legalese as well. Most contracts are written. You have to understand the elements of a contract, and anyone who understood the elements, the five main elements of a contract, is going to, I'm sure is going to understand that contracts are written in legalese. It's called Black's Law Dictionary, Bouvier's Dictionary. It's called, sometimes you're going to read one page of a contract is going to take you an hour. Why? Because every word that you don't understand, you stop and look it up in a law dictionary. You might look it up in several different law dictionaries. Black's Edition's 4th edition, Black's Law, and I'm going to look at, Bouvier's edition as well. Or I'm going to look at Black's 3rd, and I'm going to look at Black's 8th edition. Just to compare and contrast and see what they changed or whatever. See how they're trying to play you, ultimately. But sometimes it might take you a whole day, 2 days to read one page. So, as you get better and better versed with regards to these terms in this new language, you will read faster and faster. You'll read contracts faster and faster. And you get to the point where I'm at, I'll skim through the contract. Because I understand contracts and, specific contracts, especially performance contracts or sales contracts. And I understand at this point, I'm looking for terms that stick out. I'm looking for specific points, positive and negative. Dollar amounts. What's the dollar amount? $50,000 penalty? Penalty for what? And I'm going to reverse engineer that specific paragraph or item of the contract. But I've been messing with contracts for a long, long time. I dealt with contracts in the public for over 17 years, 20 years. So it takes time. I'm telling you, it takes time. It might seem like, myself, he's so cold with this, like it comes natural. No, it comes natural. Used to fail, didn't come natural. My man sat there and read for years. He read the dictionary. That's the only way you're going to do this, and it's the only way you can stand there and say, hey, the validity of this trust entity is not to be questioned. It's the only way you're going to be able to do it. We remain in honor at all times. I'm not raising my voice in the public. At this banker, at this teller, at this officer, this IRS officer, or this policy officer. I stay in honor at all costs. Give away your power when you allow people to strum your emotional strings so easily. But they said, they called me, and they was, you embarrass yourself, and you embarrass me as well. Only nobles are going to make it. For the proper administration and protections, full protections, when it comes to trust. Most people are going to make mistakes. They're going to do it how they want to do it or how they think they can do it, and be argumentative and dishonorable. Few are going to study hard, put their strongest muscle in their body together, their brain. I guess, technically it's not a muscle, but you know what I'm saying? And take this absolutely seriously, because you are setting up your family for generations. You think that's going to be easy? I'm talking about just you. And if you worried about just you, trust ain't going to work for you. The trust isn't for you. The trust is for the last name, for the estate. We talking about multiple generations. We're talking about investments that pay for life, the life of the trust or the life of the institution. One of the best investments you can make is with a hospital, college, or university by way of an instrumentality that is, the validity is not to be questioned, known as a trust. Look up what an endowment is. We're talking about multiple generations. Ain't easy. You don't get, nope. No. So, man, y'all study. Hit me up. Admin at welcometothefoundation.com if you want to, inquire with regards to trustee training. There's going to be a sacrifice on many fronts, and it's meant to be. But we got to get it right. This stuff it's going down. It's going down. It's about to go down for real. For real. Legally able what? Income tax, probate tax, inheritance tax, death tax, creditors, litigation, generation skipping tax, estate tax, bankruptcy attachments, individual liability suits, lawsuits. The validity of the trust entity is not to be questioned. And, I trust that y'all were able to pick up what I was putting down. We got to get real. A lot of this stuff sounds good, but are you standing on it? We got about a minute and a half left in the live broadcast, and time flies. I'm going to take a couple calls, but I'm actually about to bounce, so it ain't going to be too long. So we're going to stream for a little bit. 424-222-525. Checking this out on the internet. You don't want to call in because got less than 90 seconds before we go to stream. I'm gonna take a couple callers. Go ahead, press 1. Got anything to say? But honestly, the validity of the trust entity is not to be questioned. I don't know how many more times I can say it. Hopefully, getting to the point where you're like, man, I wish dude was saying that. You didn't even get disrespectful. Call me Sot. Sot, quit saying that. It's Sot. And I'm not going to quit saying it. Because it needs to be ingrained in the head of any potential trustee who looks or is looking to administer a private entity, private trust entity. Excuse me, the validity of the trust is not to be questioned. Excuse me. Let's go to the phone lines, y'all. Woo, look at that. Ooh, if you called in, you just made it. We got people jumping in at the last minute, I see. Look at y'all. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Bring in a few callers. But I ain't trying to be here. I just kind of, I feel like I jabbed out. And on this episode, I gave a lot of citations. I prepped for this episode heavy. I gave a lot of citations. I really, really did my best to put it down for y'all, as I always do. Let's jump into some phone conversations. 929-4056. Area code 929-4056. Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace, my brother Sordell. This is Sister Yvette. Peace, kings and queens. How I pray all is well with you and the family, my brother.
All is well. How about you?
All is well. I was a little under the weather. I guess you can still hear it in my voice. But my brother, I've been listening, and let me tell you something. Clean hands, clean heart, clean mind. The ancestors will carry you. People will open doors for you when you have honesty, integrity, and morals, my brother. If you look around, it's a lot of murky waters right now. There's no loyalty, there's no honesty, there's no integrity. I believe in karma. And I do believe what you do, if you do it the right way, it'll come back to you 100-fold. What you do the wrong way, it will come back. What I'm learning as you teach the brothers and sisters out here, you could take them to the water, you can't make them drink it. See, some people, when they're so used to playing games and running games, that's all they identify with. But when you get somebody that's real, that's on their grind, and telling you straight how it is, most people don't know how to take the truth. I've always taught my people the truth is the better way. When you tell the truth, you'll be surprised. People don't like the truth, but they respect the truth. That's the key thing. See, like how you told them when they go into the bank, don't talk about a business trust, because I did it when I first started. And the sister was cool about it. She said, we don't do business trust. She said, business trust will get you in trouble. She said, be very careful when you say. She said, we do trust, but all parties involved must be there to sign all the paperwork. You must have the proper documents. You must have everything in order. And be careful about that word trust, because you can get yourself into problems if you don't do it right, you don't administer it right, and you don't study it right. Most of the trustees, yes, are they learning? They're going to be learning a long time, because I'm still learning and studying. But I'm learning to calm down. I'm learning to get grounded. You have to study to show yourselves approved, community. You have to learn, because with much things that are given to us, much is going to be required. You're going to have more responsibilities. You're going to have to be more lenient with a lot of things. You have to be more understanding, more level-headed. You have to change the language and the way you treat and talk to people, kings and queens. So, remember, honesty, integrity, loyalty. Like I tell you all, sacrifice. That's what I'm doing now. I'm sacrificing. A lot of things I had to cut loose. A lot of people I definitely had to cut loose, because some of us, when we're climbing up, some of us don't want to get us to get on the top. They reach up and pull us down. That's why when I say, my brother, be careful of the people that you entertain, because everybody is not honest. Unfortunately, everybody's not clean, and everybody doesn't have a clean heart, clean mind, clean hands. As you do the right thing, your doors are going to open. And what you speak out, the ancestors hear, and they will give it to you. Just keep doing the right thing, my brother. Be blessed. Kings and queens, 2019 is symbolic. Do the history on 1619 versus 2019. It's getting real. Pick yourself up now. Look out for those that are not working. Whatever you got, make sure you share. We are a village. We got to look out for each other. Be blessed, my brother. Kings and queens, communities, peace.
Peace, Sister Yvette. I always appreciate when you call in and add to the demonstration. Wise words as always. Peace to the gods. All right, moving forward. 513-8793. Area code 513-8793. Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace, Sot. This is Deshaun in Cincinnati.
Oh, peace, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. Wanted to say thanks for today's show. As always, you dropped a lot of gems. I really appreciate it. I'm going to have to go back and hit the archives and with that pen and pad to take good, proper notes to make sure that I can properly administer my trust accordingly. again, I just wanted to call in and tell you thanks, and I will be getting with you in the private to settle up on that email I sent to you earlier. So keep doing what you're doing, and thanks, bro.
I saw that email today, so yeah, get at me. Let's talk about that. Give me a call tomorrow. Yep. How about that?
Will do. Will do.
All right, man. Appreciate you calling in, man. Peace.
Peace.
Next caller, 925-9681. Area code 925-9681. I'm just playing. Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace, man. This is the boy Brian in the back.
Hey, peace, man. How you doing?
How you doing, man? All right. Just wanted to say, appreciate what you do, and this is gonna be pretty much short and sweet. On the I was gonna agree with is that what Sister Yvette was saying, for people who are trying to, you need to understand, like you said, this ain't nothing to play with, because I know for me, it was just like, I started and I was like, well, and I felt like I was taking it seriously, but I didn't take it seriously enough. And so now, I'm like, you got to do more studying instead of just, studying one thing. You got to study other stuff that relates to that. And that's just it's not a hard thing, but it's a new thing. Like I guess you're trying to say, you got to develop the new skill that you never really got developed in their programs in their schools. So it's just overwhelming, when you're trying to get this information. And if you're not used to it, especially if you come from a novice of not even knowing how to even run a business, and now you're talking about running this, so you gotta learn stuff about business and things like that. So it could get overwhelming, but if you're serious about being able to dictate things in your life and to create, not for you but for your family, you gotta start figuring out how to do that. And I'm like, I could put this where I'm almost a year in, and I still and I feel like I probably wasn't doing what I needed to do, and now I'm like, you gotta, stop playing. So for me, that's what I'm saying. For anybody who's, feeling overwhelmed by things, you gotta understand this is serious stuff, and if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it, and do it like it's your life depending on it, because you could literally change the outcome of, your family. And for people who have issues with other, like learning disabilities, just figure out different ways of doing it. They got a lot of, they got readers that can help read it for you. You can watch a lot of stuff on video, and then like with Sot, this man right here, he gives you a lot of information. And go listen to his old radio recordings. And if you get to know him, I'm pretty sure he will let you, he'll tell you what he knows and go by there, So that's it, man. I'm just saying I appreciate what you do, man. I just talked to somebody who's like, you already been feeling that I needed to do better. And, just hearing her and, hearing all this stuff, I was like, yeah, I'm going to admit to myself that I wasn't doing everything I should, and it was overwhelming. So I just got to keep putting the pedal to the metal. So that's it, man. Appreciate you, and keep doing what you're doing. I guess I'll talk to you on the other side.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for, definitely adding to the foundation. Brian from the Bay. I'm going to bring in Mellow Bay, and I'm out of here. Mellow, peace. What's good, fam?
Yo, can you hear me, bro?
Hello. Yeah, they got the Bluetooth, do you?
Peace to the guys. Can you hear me, bro?
Yes, I can hear you now. Peace, man. How you doing?
Indeed. Yes, indeed. It's another one. It's another brick in this foundation. You know what I'm saying? I give thanks. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. I mean, we definitely got to recognize that, with the validity of it, you know what I'm saying? of the entity actually got to be tested, you know what I'm saying, and questioned, then, you know, there's work to be done. You know what I mean? Message well received, honestly, you know what I mean? So we have to honestly make sure that the structure, we get more in contact with structure, infrastructure, how to set up. I learned that's very important, too, when maneuvering and conducting any form of relationship with the structure in life. So, you know, I definitely give thanks to that and making sure, you know, how to operate, you know what I'm saying, within a certain capacity. So I'm definitely thankful, bro. You know, and no matter what, persevere. You know, you got to get it, persevere. You know, like my brother said, you know, break it down in whatever various form you got to get it. You know what I mean? Break it down, though, get the comprehension, soak it up, absorb it. That's the main thing about it. We're just trying to comprehend to be able to absorb it so we can be able to apply it. So, yeah, it's another one, bro. You know, I give thanks, though, definitely. And peace to the guys and peace to everybody else on the platform who continue to listen. Peace to the new listeners. You know, definitely secure, protect, preserve, and pass on whatever you got that you're working so hard for. You know, it's your God-given energy. You don't maintenance it, custodian it, control it. Someone else will. You know, that's what I got to say on that. So, you know, it's definitely, I know all is well with you. You know what I'm saying? I plan on connecting. Definitely, for sure.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in. I really do appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon, fam.
So, indeed. Likewise. Peace to the guys. Peace.
Peace to the guys. All right, last but not least, China, the country China has had trust law in practice since 2001. China enacted the trust law in 2001 as part of its efforts to put in place a modern system of private laws. I'm just going to pause, man. Look, man, I mean, either get with the program or get left. I mean, that's really what it is. We're in the age of information, and there's really no excuse. Maybe you feel like there's an excuse, but there really isn't. And all the excuses that you're using, we just being nice and not calling you on them. Really because we don't have no vested interest in what you're doing. But I do. You know, I definitely do. And this is why I do this show. It's the foundation. Trust and banking. Can't get with it. Going to get hit by it. This stuff is nothing new, and it's the most powerful way to do your dance. With that being said, I appreciate y'all. I really do. I love y'all. This is the reason why I do this. I want y'all to get into a better position. I understand, you know, many are called, but few are chosen. But at the same time, I'm putting out the call. I'm calling you out. Add me in at welcometothefoundation.com. Let me know what's up. At least ask about the trustee training at the very least. You need it. Please leave it. Welcometothefoundation.com. Sign up for the email list, make a donation, book a consultation, get your private education on. Find the social media accounts and stuff like that. And, you know, we just don't keep it moving. I really do. I love y'all, and I'm humbled and honored at the following, at the consistency in y'all, and, you know, your willingness and dedication to invest in your private education. It proves these other people wrong. Maybe talking about my people are lazy. I want to read and all this crazy stuff. I just get tired of hearing this stuff. But, I mean, y'all make me proud, man. Straight up. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep believing in yourself. You know, keep taking care of yourself. And know that you're worth it. And unless you decide, like, yo, man, I put in a lot of work in my life. It's time for my life to start being pretty cool. Unless you can do that, I don't know what to tell you. You know, we got to create our own reality. In doing that, we got to become responsible for our actions and our thoughts. And a lot of people can't do that. We've been lying to ourselves so long, you're going to have a nervous breakdown if you admit to yourself how full of crap you are. and have been, to the people that you love, that love you, and so on and so forth. But either way, you know, pain is weakness leaving the body. That's what my dad said. Crazy. I hated that saying. But whether it's true or not, it helps put things in perspective. You got to get down to get up in a lot of situations. But sometimes you got to take 2 steps backwards in order to take 5 steps forward. You got to grind how most won't so you can live how most can't. You feel me, family? Welcome to thefoundation.com. Admin at welcometothefoundation.com. Hit me up. Let's get this. Let's get this handled. Let's do this. You can do it. I got your back. Get it popping. All right? With that being said, you know, check us out next week. I'll be out here, Foundation, next week. I've been trying to catch Yusuf. Yusuf's been doing shows on Blog Talk. Yusuf's back, or he was. I was even, you know, trying to assist him with technical difficulties the other day. So Yusuf is dropping bombs, you know. So check it out. Continue to invest in your private education. Know that you can do it. And know that there's people out here who have your back. We may not know you, but we do care. And even though the ones who do know you, maybe they don't care. Maybe they just want you to be where you're at, so they're comfortable. Don't hold back your forward progress for someone else's benefit or for their feelings. You understand what I'm saying? Now take care of yourself, enjoy yourself, and love yourself. Thanks for checking out the Foundation. I am the Host Sot. Peace to the gods.
Doing this thing all the way live. High frequency radio.